Hello, hello. It is great to see you again, and welcome back to another installment of MSP Success Spotlight. I'm your host and moderator, Ryan Ruff, and we so appreciate you being here with us today for the show. Boy, do we have a good one teed up for you. We've got Mr. Gareth McKee, the founder and CEO of Burnt Orange Solutions, joining us from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Now, Gareth and his team up at Burnt Orange, they have a real big focus when it comes to cybersecurity and testing backups, and we're going to jump into that. And then, of course, you, our audience, you know what this show is about. We want to get into Gareth's industry insights, and then, of course, really those differentiating factors that separate his company, Burnt Orange Solutions, from the rest of the pack. Now, a few notes about Gareth, though, before we do bring him on. This is a trusted business here. They are trusted. They are on the Trusted Saskatoon list. That's a great distinction up in Canada, specifically in Saskatchewan, but also Gareth's being featured in the upcoming fall 2021 edition of the MSP Success magazine, so be sure to keep a lookout for that. Additionally, Gareth's going to be writing a book that's focused on cybersecurity. That's coming out in early 2022, so keep an eye out for that one as well. But hey, let's get into the conversation today by bringing Gareth aboard to kind of lay the framework and tell us all about Burnt Orange. So Gareth, welcome aboard the show. How are you doing today, man?
Doing really well, thank you. How's yourself?
I am doing well, sir. Doing well. And we are happy to have you aboard today's show. Gareth, I think a good place for us to start would be, take us back to the beginning, really. Let us know, how did you end up into the cybersecurity business? Tell us about some of those early days for Gareth McKee, and then, of course, that transition towards Burnt Orange Solutions.
Yeah, I mean, initially it started as a business back in 2009, back in the
Mm-hmm.
UK. And I got all my training actually from back in a former life when I was actually in the military. I was in the Royal Corps Signals in the British Army, and that's where I got all my security training from the IT and telecoms kind of sphere. And when I left the army back in 2002 due to a back injury, I took all that training and went into the civilian kind of industries, became an IT manager and IT director really quickly, and was enabled a recruitment company that I was taken on by to grow from 20 guys to 150 guys in the space of only 4 years. Then 2008 happened, obviously, and 2009 came along. And after a conversation with my wife when she was describing how poor her IT support was and how poor the IT security was in her industry, we kind of sat down and we had a conversation. We thought, you know what? We can do this better for small and medium businesses out there, initially back in the UK, but now Canada, obviously. And it was just, there's a need out there for people to provide small and medium businesses with the professional support and security that the big boys can get because they've got millions of dollars to spend. But the smaller guys need it as well.
So Gareth, yeah, absolutely. I love that you guys have a big focus on, serving those small and medium businesses because yes, like you said, they don't always have the budgets for the, the big boy companies to be able to, have that level of service provided. So it's great to see companies like yourselves working with smaller businesses and providing that same level of service that they deserve, that they need for their own businesses to thrive. So that being said, Gareth, talk me through Burnt Orange. Let's go back to some of those early days of you really, founding this company and building it to the successful entity it's become. What were those early days like for you?
Busy, as you can imagine,
I can
with
imagine.
a new business. So, yeah, like I said, so set up in the UK in '09, and it grew really quickly. We were based in Manchester, and Manchester's a really densely populated city, so there was a lot of companies with 5 staff members up to the kind of 30, 40, 50 staff members that really needed the help, and yeah, we grew really quickly, and it was very successful. In 2012 we moved over to Canada with myself, my wife, and my family. I want to say for the weather, but maybe not. It's minus 40 here in the winter. So we sold Burnt Orange in the UK, and we reset it up back here in Canada. Kept the name because I had the T-shirts already. So Burnt Orange Canada was set up, and it was not an overnight success, but it grew really, really quickly because it was
Hmm.
a new approach that Saskatchewan hadn't seen before.
Hmm.
Everyone was still used to paying an hourly rate, and nothing was really getting looked after and maintained correctly, which is the
Hmm.
approach that we take. It's keep it working rather than fix it when it's broken, and keep it secure rather than, recovering later if we have to.
Hmm.
It was a very, very new approach to Saskatchewan, and yeah, we grew quickly.
So you say this new approach that you really brought to Saskatchewan. Walk me through, what is that approach? What do you guys want people to know about your company?
So we do approach IT and particularly business IT from a very different standpoint from other companies. Again, it's the traditional way that IT's always worked is it's like a plumber. You phone them up, they charge you $200 for the first hour, then 150 for the hours afterwards, and they come out, hit a computer with a hammer, and hopefully it gets working. And then you've got no guarantee that it's still working the week after, so you call them out again because you've got the same problem, and then this goes on and
Hmm.
on and on. You know, the worst stories you hear are the plumbers back in the 70s, sort of thing. Um, so from day one, I wanted it to be a different company, very much a proactive company, very much about keeping the systems and the networks safe and proactively maintained so that the user, so that staff members actually got a tool in front of them that they don't want to throw out the window every day, but it actually works. And
Hmm.
that's the approach we took. And we got all the tools and the automation in place. And yeah, it's providing a great service to our clients.
Sure. So walk me through then, Gareth. Let's say a client reaches, or a prospective client rather, reaches out to you to start a conversation. What does that process look like? That onboarding process. What kind of questions are you asking? A prospective client that you might end up doing business with.
Um, so the first thing that we'd normally do, we want to try and get to know them as people and get to know them as the business and their business family. Um, a lot of IT people concentrate on the computer and the network and can't get away from the fact it's just a tool. The
Hmm.
same as, again, the plumber's got a wrench. A person sitting in an office who wants to print's got a computer and a printer. It's just a tool. So we need to understand how the business functions, how they use the computers to get done what they need to get done.
Hmm.
So we take it from that standpoint first. Then on the second point, we'll then go into their office and we then provide a security assessment and a health assessment of all of their IT environment, from network security, from the routers and firewalls from the outside, to the health and the security of their computers, the servers, in more in particular, the data itself, because that's the important bit, is the data. Like I said, computer's just a tool. It's the data that's important. It's the QuickBooks that's important. It's the databases. It's all the files and folders. Are they being backed up correctly? If you're one of those unfortunate people that get hit with ransomware tomorrow, can you actually recover, or is you going to be, one of those just companies that go out of business within a year because they've been hit with ransomware? So
Hmm.
that's where we come from. It's definitely coming from, how do you use your IT? How can we improve that? And how can we make you as secure as you possibly can be?
I love that. And Gareth, there's a lot to be said about that client interaction and that experience, from the client standpoint. They want to know that they're working with a trusted professional. Yes, it's nice for a company to have the accolades like, being on the trusted Saskatoon list, which are, Burn Orange Solutions is. But at the same time, you have to have the relationship. You have to know as a client that you're in the good hands. So that being said, in that same vein, walk me through, this is a big topic that we like to have on this show. It's this idea of education and educating the client. While yes, the client's educating you, like you mentioned, Gareth, on their business, how they flow and operate. Talk to me a little bit about what the process from your seat looks like in educating the client on some of the, systems that need to be put in place, maybe some best practices that could be
Mhm.
implemented on their end. What does that conversation look like?
Okay, and it really is all about education. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know anything about architecture, so if I want a building thrown up, I'm going to go and speak to an architect. Um, you know, all of our clients provide the best possible service they can to their clients, and we want to be doing the same from us for them. And it does take education. It takes letting them know how it's meant to be, how the best practices are, because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know what questions to ask. So it can be a sit-down conversation over lunch with just the owner of the business, or it can be a lunch and learn for their whole team, where we'd go in, we could spend 2 hours just on education alone. Why are we doing, why are we putting a different antivirus in place? Why are we not using free antivirus? These things are free for a reason. They're not very good. Why do we put different levels of security in place? It's a military adage that you defend in depth, and that's how we look at it. From the firewall at the outside, and then patching and security, and then antivirus, and then specific ransomware protection. But ultimately, it comes back to the user and it's education. It's getting them, when they receive an email, before they click on a link, just take a breath, take those 2 seconds. Is that email, has it come from the person you really think it's come from? The link on it is, look at the link, is it going where you think it's going, or has it got an extra L in the word online? And these are the things, we've all got 10 hours work to do in an 8-hour day. It's just take a breath. Take a breath before you click on it, because that 2 seconds of taking a breath can save you 3 days, of heartache when you're trying to recover.
Yeah, it's, you look at employees for a given business as the business's biggest asset. Well, they can also be the business's biggest risk when it comes to things like this. So, tip of the cap to you and your team for allocating resources towards those educational efforts for the clients that you serve, because yes, that's the first line of defense. What it sounds like is your team's layered approach of defense, which I'd love to kind of, Gareth, shift the conversation a little bit towards cybersecurity as a whole. What talk to me about your thoughts on cybersecurity, maybe why it's so important these days more so than ever.
Gone are the days when it was a 300-pound 18-year-old boy in his mum's basement trying to bring down Bill Gates. That's gone now. It's not that sort of geek who just hates the big blue. What it is now, it's expert criminal gangs in places like Russia, Nigeria, Southern America, and also state actors as well, Iran and other places like that. And they're not just attacking the big hospitals. They're not just attacking the oil pipelines like happened earlier on this year. They want quick money. So what are they doing? They're attacking small businesses who haven't got the money to spend on big security. And they know that if they can hit 50 small businesses in a day with ransomware, a good number of them are going to pay up. Let's say it's 10%, let's say it's 20%. They're going to make, $100,000 there pretty easily. And it's less effort, and it's all software and automation that's doing this. They can buy the software and the codes, etc., off the dark web. These are easy businesses to set up, and that's what these gangs are doing. And they're making a killing. They're making billions of dollars every year, and it's unfortunately it's small and medium business owners that are paying the price. And to have proper defense against this, it takes some know-how. It takes knowing how to do it properly. It's not a fire and forget solution. It takes monitoring. It takes education of the staff. It's an ongoing process, and it shouldn't be left to the business owner who's trying to do it. It shouldn't be left to somebody in the office who drew the short straw. It needs to be professional people who are trained to do this and trained to look after your data and your company properly.
Right. I mean, so vitally important, because at the end of the day, yes, a ransomware attack could bury your business in a matter of hours. So that being said, Gareth, where do you see small, rather, let me ask you this, for these small and medium businesses that you serve, and clearly you're trying to get the message out there to let them know that, a service like yours exists, they can still get big time security. Where do you see cybersecurity evolving into the future? At least in terms of companies seeking out that kind of effort. Is it your hopes that more and more companies continue to lean on companies like yours?
I think they have to, and I think they have to go at searching out not an IT support company anymore, but a specific IT security company. An example of this, a few years ago, we were looking after a client of ours. It was an accountant firm here in Saskatoon. And it was 2 accountants and about 10 bookkeeping staff. And we were looking after their security from the outside all the way in, their user education, their backups, and everything that they needed to be able to function properly. They decided that we were too expensive for them, and they went out to a really big player in the IT sphere in this province, and I think it allowed them to save something like about $200 a month, which doesn't sound like very much, but to them it was. And this big player, they said they were offering the world. It was the most secure thing you could ever want. Unfortunately, they were 3 months into this contract with this big player, and they got hit with ransomware. Then it became clear that this big player had a very, very good sales guy, but the solution that was put in place wasn't explained properly to this accounting firm, and they were left completely wide open. They had, no security on the computers themselves. The firewalls weren't configured properly, and they had no backup. They'd not run a backup for 3 months when they thought this big player was doing it for them. Wow. So they phoned us in a panic, saying, "No, come and help us, because this company won't help us now." And we said, "Right, okay." Luckily for them, we'd run a full system backup for them about 3 months earlier, just before they left left to become someone else's client, and we were able to recover them to 3 months ago from a backup back then. But they saved $600 over 3 months. It cost them, they thought, by the time they recovered, by the time they replaced all the work again, overtime, et cetera, they lost a few big clients because of this as well. They reckon it cost them about $147,000.
Man.
Yeah.
Not
but they saved, they saved 600. So
right. So that's a great story, Gareth. I appreciate you sharing that with us, because it just goes to show you, don't cut corners, because
absolutely.
At the end of the day, it comes down to not only the services, the products in terms of, the firewalls, the antivirus software. Of course, it comes down to that, but it also comes down to the faith in working with trusted professionals. And, by cutting corners, it sounds like you're not getting either the service
Absolutely.
nor the product. And that's so important these days. So Gareth, let me ask you this then. For somebody that's out in our audience that's listening to this conversation, they, maybe they're in and around the Saskatoon area, maybe outside of it, but still they're interested in your business. They're especially interested in this idea of that free security assessment that you guys offer, that penetration test. How would somebody go about, reaching out to your company to get that scheduled and get that process in motion, and maybe even potentially work with you down the line?
It really couldn't be easier. They can pick up the phone, call the office here and ask for me, 306-986-2600. Or they can go onto our website, burntorangesolutions.com, and there's a contact form there. You just say, we'd love you to come over and test our security, and we can arrange that. And then, we can give you simple reports which are very pictorial, and even I can understand them. So if I can understand them, I'm sure our potential clients can, and we just show you where the improvements can be made, where you can make the quick wins. And if you want us to help you out, great. If you want to take the report and sort it out yourself, then we're fine with that too. We just want to, Saskatoon's 800,000 people, but it really feels like a small town living here. It's very much a community in this city, and it does really feel like we're all pulling in the same direction. And I want to be part of that team that's pulling in the same direction and making this city all it can be. And by helping these small and medium businesses, stay in business with good IT security, if that's what I've got to do, that's what I can do.
Well, Gareth, I love that. And clearly your work with those small and medium businesses throughout the area has not gone unnoticed. Being on the Trusted Saskatoon list, being featured in the MSP Success magazines. Here you are on the podcast today. We have true professionals that come jump on this show. We love to to take a deep dive into your industry insights, to, talk about you and your business. And that's exactly what you've done here today. And we appreciate you taking time out of your day to do that. And Gareth, before I let you go, is there anything else you may want to share share with our audience in regards to just your business as a whole, and or just even the services that you guys offer through cybersecurity?
If there's one thing I want to maybe tell the people out there, it's the game has changed a lot. Like I say, with these professional gangs that are out there now, two things. I've already mentioned taking a breath. Please do, when an email comes, before you click on something, just take a breath, make sure that link's going where you think it's going. But I think what's a lot of people got to understand now as well, that antivirus is no use to anybody anymore. We've got a saying in the UK that it's like a chocolate fire guard, but that doesn't work over here. So it's like a jelly rocking chair. It's no good to you. You need definitive advanced ransomware protection, which we can provide. And again, it's all about the education. Approach a proper IT security company, and they will help you out.
Roger that. Well, Gareth, once more, we so appreciate you jumping aboard the show here today to peel back the curtain, tell us a little bit about Burn Orange Solutions, and hey, we look forward to maybe having you back on the show down the road.
I'd love to come back. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Ryan.
No problem. Hey, and look, we want to take one final moment to thank you, our audience, for jumping aboard today's episode. As always, if you liked what you saw and you liked what you heard today, please feel free to like the show, comment, subscribe, share this information with friends, family, hey, those small, medium business owners that Gareth serves on a regular basis, because at the end of the day, these conversations, they're meant for you, that we want to provide you the industry insights into the MSP world to talk about these, IT solutions and cybersecurity issues that could ultimately benefit you and your business down the road. And there's some great folks like Gareth McKee and Burn Orange Solutions out there that can help you get started. So for Mr. Gareth McKee, I'm Ryan Ruff saying so long, and we'll see you next time on MSP Success Spotlight.